Now on to Titus. Titus was a film from 1999 directed by Julie Taymor and based on Titus Andronicus. Julie Taymor may sound familiar, as she went on to direct 2007's Beatles tribute Across the Universe. Currently holds a 57 out of 100 on Metacritic and a 68% on RottenTomatoes.com. It went on to win an Academy Award for costume design. While the critical ratings are not awful, it didn't really do well at the box office. The movie had a large budget, $20 million, but made only a tenth of it back, with $2 million in box office sales.
Stand gracious to the rights that we intend.
Sure of stakes.
Unlike my previous movie review, the characters do not change much when compared to the source material. The majority of the characters' dialogue derives directly from the play, and with a long runtime of around 2.5 hours, it doesn't leave much out. The majority of the differences do not lie within the characters themselves, but the imagery and subtle actions the characters make. However, let's touch on the characters briefly. We won't dwell on it long, since it's pretty similar to the play. First off, the most recognizable actor on the bill, Anthony Hopkins. You actually might recognize him from my last movie review on O, when I made a joke about Odin's name and I played this clip. Yep, that's Anthony Hopkins as Odin from Thor. With a number of Oscar, Emmy, and Golden Globe awards, including his 1992 win for his role as Hannibal Lecter in Silence of the Lambs, he blows the movie away with his performance. He makes Titus's personality stand out. He's a believable, hardened war veteran.
There greet in silence as the dead are wont, and sleep in peace, slain in your country's wars.
Next is Jessica Lange as Tamara. Again, here we have another award-winning performer, including her Golden Globe win for the more recent show American Horror Story. Lange, like Hopkins, is a highlight to this film. She delivers her lines in a way where you definitely believe that she's cold-hearted and seeks revenge for those who have done her wrong. However, an odd detail about her performance is her interaction with her sons, which I will touch on later.
For valiant doings in their country's cause, or if to fight for king and common we were piety and thine.
Next is a really interesting portrayal of Saturninus by Alan Cumming. He's incredibly flamboyant at times, but always convincing and charismatic. Here's one of his better scenes.
And the cause! Rome, be as just and gracious unto me, as I am confident and kind to thee. Open the gates and let me in!
Also, a child character is thrown into the mix, played by Oisin Jones. He's a really interesting addition that I'll spend more time on later. The final actor I'd like to comment on is Harry Lennox, who plays Aaron the Moor in this version. His monologues in this version make him seem just as crazy as Aaron should be. Lennox also makes it completely believable when he changes his mind after finding the love child he had between him and Tamora. He holds on to every last word, never speaking a syllable that isn't delivered at 100%.
Then Aaron, arm thy heart, and fit thy thoughts to mount aloft with thy imperial mistress.
One of the things that makes this film really unique is where and when it's placed. The unique thing is, you don't really know. Many times the characters refer that they are in Rome, and much of the set's architecture cements that. The odd thing about the film is what point in time it's based, or what type of universe it's based in. There isn't really anything that gives it away. At some points the characters fight with swords, towards the end they start using guns, horses are sometimes shown, but at other times characters are driving tanks and motorcycles. Is it some sort of future dystopian Rome? Is it some sort of time-mixed world, a la some episodes of the Matt Smith-era Doctor Who?
Hello. I'm the Doctor.
It is never really clear, and the only thing we are told is that it is indeed placed in a city of Rome, or an alternate reality version of a city called Rome. I have no idea. Another thing that's different about this version is the interaction between Lange's Tamora and her sons. In the text of the play, you can tell that her sons will do almost anything for their mother, but the version of the character that Taymor created seems much more incestual. There are some out-of-place points where pretty intimate acts of affection are shared between the family. If you've ever seen Hamlet starring David Tennant and Patrick Stewart, The same can be seen from Tennant's Hamlet and his mother. Of course, incest was a theme during Shakespeare's time. I was just surprised that Tamor decided to make this much more apparent.
Swelling toads! We make such fearful and confused cries as any mortal body hearing it should strike for mad!
Now on to the character I said I would get back to before. Oisin Jones' character is introduced in the first scene of the movie. He's playing with his toys and is suddenly thrown into this political and familial conflict. He's introduced with so many explosions, one could think that it was directed by Michael Bay, but unfortunately, Jones' character does not meet Optimus Prime. For about 3/4 of the movie, no one really even acknowledges that the character's here. He isn't even given a name until he refers to Titus as his grandfather. It is then revealed that Oisin Jones is playing young Lucius, which makes him Titus Andronicus' grandson. Why Tamor waited until almost the end of the movie to make this clear is beyond me. When I first saw this character introduced, and after he witnesses Titus' speech, one would think that the story is going to be from young Lucius' point of view. That would make an interesting premise, wouldn't it? Well, prepare to be disappointed. Tamor throws this idea away. Young Lucius disappears for much of the movie and randomly drops in during the important parts. Tamor even teases you with this premise, with one of the opening scenes being shot from a low angle, to insinuate you're seeing it from his eyes. I know that in order for it to be completely from its point of view, they would have to write young Lucius into scenes where it doesn't belong, like during the ravishing of Lavinia, but it was an interesting concept. Now let's talk about hands. Hands are a pretty big theme in this play with the amputation of Lavinia's and later Titus's. Julie Tamor seems to expand that. After Lavinia is raped and mutilated, Tamor's sons replace her hands with bundles of sticks. It's pretty disturbing. The mutilation and unnatural placement seems very odd, and even later she gets a pair of doll hands, which is pretty disturbing to look at. Also, hand imagery is seen during dialogical scenes, such as a hand statue when Titus is speaking.
Of ours.
One scene that was, well, interesting happens after Titus removes his hand in order to save his sons. Aaron takes the hand to deliver it to the Emperor. First he seals it in a Ziploc bag, puts it in his car, and attaches it to his rearview mirror. It's just really confusing. Not only the fact that Aaron pulls out a Ziploc bag that specifically fits hands, but the fact that he was enjoying it so much that he attaches it to his mirror so he can view it as he drives. Overall, this film has above standard acting, superb visuals, while being not quite revolutionary. Todd McCarthy of Variety magazine calls it a conditional victory, while Andrew Sayers to the New York Observer says it is a consistently absorbing entertainment that never becomes either campy or facetious, given its inescapable exaggerations. Just for the visuals, acting, and closeness as the source material, I give it 4 Lavinia doll hands out of 5.
If the winds rage, doth not the sea wax mad? Threatening the welkin with his big swollen face,